Hello, ISCP fans. Welcome to next episode of the Indy Sports Car Podcast. Hello, Frank.
Hey, Jared, how are you?
Good. And we are joined this week by the Inside Open Wheel guys, Jeremy and Charles. How you guys doing?
Frank, Jared, great to be here.
Pretty good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. It's been a while since we've had I don't even think we've had like a true crossover episode yet. So this is I'm pretty excited for this.
Well, I can thank Charlie for this. We over the past couple of months we've been trying to grow our podcast audience as well. And he dropped the idea of, hey, why don't we do crossover episodes? So, you might see us other places if you listen to other podcasts, but really excited. It's gonna be so much fun because it looks like that we can talk more than open wheel racing, and Charlie can just sit there in oblivion like he usually does when I do my intros.
I'll just try to not to say anything stupid like usual.
Dude, I make it a point.
Yeah, that is actually Frank's job, which is why I have a stream deck and I have to keep such things like as car crash and other associated sound effects at the ready.
We have to get one of those.
You know what? I'm working on it. There's a couple things I need, but I definitely need to work on a sound effect. We do have one sound effect board actually, and it's for the famous rant wheel that Charlie wanted. You actually need to come up with some more rants, Charlie, because we don't get to use this enough. So here's what it sounds like. Oh, you can't hear it that much. Oh, come on. Hold on. Okay.
I think I do hear. I hear a wheel spinning.
It is. Hold on. I gotta maximize the volume on this because what happened was
like you bet money on what number it's gonna land on.
Yeah, hold on a second. It might be a little loud, but here we go. I always say I pull it out when Charlie wants to have another rant. He's in the mood for a rant and he wants to randomize it. So
awesome. Hey,
I should find a sound effect for when Frank goes off on like random tangents and I want to get his attention and bring it back. That's what I should find. That would be a good one.
I just take off the headphones, walk away, come back 5 minutes later with a stiff drink, and we're all good.
That's not a bad idea. There's actually like little mini liquor bottles underneath my left monitor. Right here, so.
See,
that's why we usually record without actually looking at each other, so he can go and do that, and I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I keep my crack pipe right here.
No, I just collect them like last time when I flew out to New Jersey there to see Frank and them. Like I flew first class, and I'm like, because it was during COVID, they don't serve drinks to the coach class. There's so the only place, because there's no drinks or food for purchase. They let you bring just about anything you can on the plane.
Right.
But there's nothing for sale. But if you're in first class, you never have to pay for drinks. So they still stock them all. They still stock the plane. You just have to sit ahead of the curtain, as they say.
Yeah.
To actually get drinks. So like last time, like they just threw me double shots of whatever. So like I got this Aviator gin that like you can only get on American Airlines flights. So like I got little collector bottles of liquor from trips that I'm hoping to be able to expand on this year.
I'm sorry, you're speaking in some other native language. Some of us only fly Southwest.
Hey, that's actually so. I classify planes in two ways. It's either first class and coach, or it's cattle class, where everybody. And I prefer Southwest actually. That's what I'll be flying to Barber here in a couple months is Southwest, which they just screwed me over and pushed my flights, both flights there and back in the wrong directions. I'm like, this is not gonna be good.
So true story. Throughout all the years I've been in motorsport, I actually got lucky enough to get an audition with the Motor Racing Network when they had the Grand Am Rolex Series coverage. And the NASCAR people called me. Now, this is out at Kansas Speedway for the inaugural Roval event. And they called me to, set up the hotel and everything. Okay, what do you want to fly? Do you want to fly American or do you want to fly Delta? I'm like, well, can I fly Southwest? On pause. Yeah. I go, perfect.
Yeah, they're basically like, you'd want to fly? Yes. So here's a funny Southwest story. The last time I went to Barber would have been 2 years ago when they had the race. And that race for me is notable for two things. One, I lost my wallet overnight, Saturday night going into race morning, and had to fly home after the race with no ID or anything. So you have to go through this super long TSA and just get patted down and violated. And it was a whole ordeal, but I got to make it home and rebuild everything from the beginning. And so it created this huge panic on race day. And the other thing was on my flight down to Birmingham, on my connect flight from Chicago there midway to Birmingham, I sat next to Dale Coyne on East. It was only me and him in the row, but it was me and Dale Coyne on the Southwest flight to Birmingham. And I'm like, well, I guess I don't feel so bad because
he's our biggest source.
and I'm also like, why am I not surprised that Dale Coyne flew Southwest? Then the next morning, I checked in with the PR rep. I can't remember her name.
Oh, Karina. I love Karina.
Yeah. I checked in with her. I was like, yep, Mom, I guarantee you that Dale made it because I sat next to him on the plane. She laughed. So at least we know for sure he made it. Because this was before he had even gotten to the track. So
yeah,
it was pretty funny.
Yeah, but that's great.
Great race. So good race. I mean, I was able to enjoy the vast majority of the race. I had to leave extra early before the end of the race to make it to the airport for the extra long screening because TSA pre-check means nothing if you don't have your ID.
Exactly.
Yeah, I will never let that happen again.
Yeah, that was 4 hours of searching the grounds of Barber.
I didn't even know. Frank's just like walking all over the grounds trying to find my wallet. I know for a fact it's not there.
Muddy as hell too, because Barber.
Yeah, he's just wrecking himself and Missy too. Because I'm assuming Missy was with him too. They're just wrecking themselves for no reason because I knew for a fact it wasn't there. It fell out of my wallet after dinner as I was walking back to my car, and the only reason I didn't hear it or notice it was because it was raining out, and I just wanted to get back to my car, and I didn't notice that it slipped. I didn't even put it in my pocket. I thought I put it in there, and it didn't. I didn't go in, and I just didn't even notice. And
it's the worst feeling.
Rained out because it wasn't raining when I got to the restaurant, but when I left, it was a heavy downpour, and I had nothing. So I was.
They'll do it.
Rush. It happens. I learned a lesson. Looking forward to going back this year.
We drove everywhere for 5 years, and it was hard to lose something. Probably in the car filled with, everything.
Yeah, your life.
Yeah, the drone that Josh Farmer just, wow, this is cool, right on the roof of the next hotel next to us. Like, thanks, Josh.
Oh yeah, that happened too with Frank in Iowa. Which rest in peace, Iowa. I'm gonna miss you. Mm-hmm. You were literally my favorite oval, not located in the state of Indiana. But we were up in, I can't remember the name of the town. It's like a half hour north of Newton there.
It's called Cornsville.
Yeah. I think that's like every town. Yeah.
Cornsville, Iowa.
Yes. We were in the middle of Cornsville, Iowa, and like outside his hotel. And he just got this new drone, and he just wanted to show it off to me or whatever. And
the Mosquito.
Yeah, and it worked. And, you had your drone, and then I'm like, well, maybe I'll fly one. He breaks out his older one, whatever, because I don't want to risk wrecking his new one. And unbeknownst to me, like the rudder, something was broken on the plane because all it would do is fly up. I couldn't actually have any vertical. It just went straight up, and then it eventually do a loop-de-loop, and then just keep going up, and then it finally eventually crashed on the roof of the hotel. Like a 3-story hotel, and I was like, "Well, Frank, I'm sorry."
It was like 6 stories.
Yeah, maybe 6 stories. Yeah, it was a pretty tall hotel. It was obvious it was 0% chance he'd ever get it back. But it turns out it would only need about a week because literally that following weekend, a tornado went through that town.
Wow.
I don't believe anybody died, but there was some property damage. So I can almost guarantee you that drone was not on the roof.
No, you showed me the picture of our hotel, and the whole front of it was destroyed.
Yeah. It was. I just remember that nobody died in that tornado. At least
missed that by a week. Thank goodness.
At least I'm pretty sure. I hope.
Did you guys see that video that the guy took of that gigantic tornado that kind of turned right for him? And he was and he was in the attic, and he was like, "Well, oh well, might as well just film the thing." And you see it coming, it tears the house apart across the street, and then just comes right at him, and then just and then cuts to black, and you're like, "He's dead."
Yeah, goodbye.
He didn't die. His wife did though. But wow, what a crazy video that is. I don't know if
we hear I had a I was the big derecho that moved through the Midwest were affected here. We got like 90-mile-an-hour winds. We actually just before the storm rolled in, Charlie and I actually completed our show, and then and my wife comes in. She goes, "Oh, we got to go. There's a tornado coming, or there's a nasty storm coming." And no, we actually went downstairs to the common hall, and we watched the storm blow through. And we lost power for like 3 days. We got lucky that nothing came through the window, but it was pretty tough.
It's lucky that you guys made it out all right.
Oh yeah,
something
I had 1 year. I went. Yeah, this is really delving off into.
Okay, let's get back on track.
Yeah,
I live in New York, so I don't have any good weather stories.
Oh, you just survived a blizzard. Shush.
I get all sorts of weather in West Michigan because we have the lake that really does a lot, especially this time of year.
So, Jeremy, you're from Chicago, and Charles, where are you from?
I'm from Pittsburgh, but I live in New York City.
Right on, East Coast, holla. Yeah, I mean, like it's just weird. Like a lot of IndyCar content creators are from the New York, Philly area. I mean,
yeah, real hotbed of racing there, and
I know it's so odd. They're like the closest race now would have been Richmond, but
yeah,
now it's
Frank. You can't complain. You're literally what 20 minutes from New Jersey Motorsports Park, where I can guarantee will be for the USF 2000 Indy Pro weekend, because that was a blast this past year. It felt like a very impromptu thing, but it was a great weekend.
And I've got to say, it's kind of surprising because one of the series I used to work for, we went to New Jersey, and maybe it's because it was a sports car series. The racing was it was okay to say the least. They used
to go there a lot, yeah.
And that is a Alan Wilson designed track, much like Autobahn was. And if you remember, back in 2009, 2010, with the two races that were there for the USF 2000 Indy Pro 2000. It was okay, and I'm going to say that as full disclosure as the track announcer at Autobahn, because the racing could have been better, but it was good to see the Atlantics and Trans Am cars there.
Yeah, it's not a super exciting track to drive on. The first couple corners are really good. Like that first open section is a lot of fun, and then the tighter section is just kind of like nah.
Yeah, that first section where you can either take the chicane or the just go around in oval style. It's great, but once you get to that technical section on, I think it's the north side of the track.
It does kill a lot of the momentum. There's just not a whole lot of passing opportunities, and it's
no. I would say turns 1, 2, and maybe coming out of the last turn. That's about all you're really going to get there.
But even if you put that chicane there at 3, it's still a great passing opportunity into 3B, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's a very it's like it looks cool, but it just doesn't have any good flow to it, or maybe it's too much flow.
Which track we talking about?
New Jersey.
So
something that we're going to talk about. Charlie and I talked about with Chris Demerit. He's the most recent winner of the Coca-Cola bottling company of Kokomo Indy Elite Series at Texas Motor Speedway. This weekend, they're actually going to be racing at Pocono, and we're talking about how great it would be to have IndyCar back at Pocono. And I suggested, instead of having, just IndyCar there, maybe Vintage Indy doing parade laps, why not use part of the Roval for the Road to Indy series? You have USF 2000, Indy Pro 2000, Indy Lights on the Roval, and the big cars on the oval.
I mean, Pocono was a real shame because it was building such a great fan base. It really was. Like every year, like the attendance was doubling, and it's really hard to tell because the place is enormous.
Yeah.
I mean, the front stretch is almost a mile long, and the grandstands are almost pretty much as long as the front stretch. So, I mean, there could be 100,000 people there, and you'd never know it. I mean, like the best gauge of it is on a Sunday morning in the paddock. If you can come out the media center and look down and be able to like see the other end of the paddock, then there's not enough people there. And like the last 2 years, you couldn't do it. Like you would look out, you're like, I'm not even attempting to walk through that, and like between where the cars are and where the trailers are, that's a large like span. I would say, I don't know, what do you think, Jared? Maybe like 50 meters from
yeah. I mean, every year the infield was more and more packed. In fact, that last year I was like, man, any thoughts I had of like holding some sort of race on one of the interior road courses, I'm like, it's getting harder and harder. There's so many people here camping in the infield and everything. Like it wasn't a whole lot of, you run out of space to do that. But I had always tried to advocate that they should do some sort of USF 2008 Pro, whatever, on one of the interior road courses. I mean, just so much space there on the infield and each one's a closed off track separate from the oval. So you wouldn't even have to really turn around a whole lot, if anything, of the track in between sessions.
Well, and you know what you could do too? You could also, work with Tony Kottman on getting some fencing there, because all you really need is you can have them run clockwise, turn right after what would be oval pit in. There's a nice little road course there. IMSA used to run there in the 80s, the mid to late 80s, and then go back on the oval, run counter race around 2 and 1.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like Pocono, it's a shame because of Justin and then Robbie. If those two incidents did not happen, Pocono would still be here.
I mean, I feel like those two incidents are the reason why so many drive, like Romain Grosjean coming over. He won't. I mean, I totally understand his, but you've seen other drivers over the years who've had this reluctance to want to do the oval portion of IndyCar, which is what I believe is what makes it the best racing series out there, because it's so diverse. They do it all: short track, long ovals, speed, road courses, streets. It's one car can do everything, and that's what I thought made IndyCar so great. But to see drivers like, well, I only want to do this part of it, it kind of feels
cheap.
It does feel cheap.
Well,
to me.
Here's the question I have. Take a look at what happened with Nigel Mansell when he came over in 93 and 94. You had your big accidents, but they were very few and far between. Nowadays, you're seeing them more and more on the ovals. Is it the product of the car and the track, or is it a product of the rough driving in the series?
I mean, I still remember the Fontana race, 2015.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, that was a Sage Karam. Who else can I?
Well, I mean, it's just a testament to the like how it was probably the most exciting race, like just that I've ever seen. Like passing. I mean, it was pack racing, and it did what it was supposed to do, and produce a lot of excitement and passing, and it was the most. Even today, I'll go back and watch it. It will give me that feeling, but every lap in my mind, because I still remember exactly what lap numbers all the crashes, right? It's that constant worry in the back of your head that you trust all 24, 25, however many drivers there are out there. I know the vast majority of them I can trust. It's that small minority of drivers that are either inexperienced or they themselves just aren't proficient enough for it.
Kimball.
That's what worries me the most. But you do have to give Dallara and PPG and all of like IndyCar and they may be reactionary more than proactive when it comes to safety. But in their defense, it's always been that way historically for everything, and it doesn't. Racing is no exception. Any industry.
Yeah, bottom line. Yeah, I just want to butt in there, Jared. Like, bottom line is F1. If it wasn't for Jackie Stewart and Niki Lauda just basically putting their feet down, saying we're not getting in these cars until you make them safer, because we're tired of watching people die. F1 would have just said, just get in the car. I don't care. I mean, if they didn't push the FIA to do something about the safety of the tracks and the cars back, basically the day that we lost Senna. I mean, the day we lost Senna, I think, was probably one of the worst days in motorsport in recent history. I guess if you want to call it the modern era, which Senna, I would say was breaking right into the beginning of that. Even though to us he's more or less like, I don't know, it feels like it's a while ago, but it really wasn't. We lost Jared. Right? I'm sure he'll be right back. Well, but my point being is, if the DW12 wasn't as just an amazing car, like compared to its predecessor, Robbie wouldn't be here right now, hands down.
Here's the thing. I wish that IRL would have brought over the DW12, not DW12, but the DP01, because that was one hell of a race car.
I was a Swift component. I was really, really rooting for Swift, to be honest with you.
I joked with Charlie when they were doing the DW12 thing. I go, you know what? Here's the thing. Pano should just come out and say, okay, here's our concept. Well, it's
my God, Pano.
Look.
You know how much I hate Panos? Do you know how much I hate Panos? I hate Panos. Panos. F you, Panos.
Hey,
F you.
Panos gave me a paycheck one weekend, so I can't complain.
No, Panos is a great guy.
Charlie, what the hell did you do?
Oh no, someone had a heart attack.
Oh yeah, it's New York City. It happens all the time. I don't even notice it anymore.
I can't tell you how many times we'll be recording, I'll hear sirens. It's like, crap, Charlie did this again. But
what, set another Rohuma fire?
Yeah, exactly. I find the Pano's DP01 one of the sexiest Indy cars out there, period.
See, I thought that at the time.
I'm sorry, Charlie.
I agree. I would have agreed with you at the time, but I think that the predecessor aged a lot better.
Sorry about that.
Okay, I can see that.
We're comparing the old champ.
Oh, I still heard everything.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm on your guys' side. I thought the car was sexy.
Yeah.
The amount of undertrained downforce
I have to refresh my memory. Jared, can you screen share the DP01? What that look like? Because I'm trying to have a hard time.
Are we talking about with or without that air box?
I mean, if you can share your screen with it on, go for it.
Hey, give me a second.
Okay.
Do you guys remember after they had that whole process in like 2011 to select a new car, that Dallara came out with two concepts of the aero kits?
Yep.
And one of them was the one that we ended up seeing, and the other one kind of looked like a much more traditional side pod kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
And everybody very quickly forgot about it, but it looked so much better.
It did. Well, I love the concept that Lola came out with. It looked like the B0017.
Yeah, I mean, I love this car. Like I actually, like, this was my number two. Like Dallara was like my least favorite out of, well, okay. My Dallara was above Panos's ambiguously gay duo car, but yeah, I don't know where Panos's mind was. How do you think that would ever become the Indy car? I don't understand it.
Oh, the Delta Wing.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Yeah.
I never talked to him.
Well, you can't say that to Frank. Now you're really gonna go off.
Well, that car destroyed IMSA. Bottom line, because Panos wanted to not worry about IMSA too much. He wanted to put all of his money and energy into the
Delta Wing.
Delta Wing, yeah. And kudos to him. I mean, you don't know if new technology or a new idea is going to pan out unless you do it, right?
Right.
And I really respect him for that. I do. However, you sold IMSA to NASCAR so you could do this with your Delta Wing. All right.
Here's the thing. If anything killed IMSA, it was the driver ratings. And I'm going to take this to the grave. Grand Am had the best formula for drivers ratings. Do you make 50% or more of your yearly income in racing? Yes, you're a pro. Do you make less than 50% of your income in racing? Yes, you're an amateur. And they could have kept the Daytona prototypes. Sorry.
Yeah. And, okay, so Rolex was just hemorrhaging money. The product sucked.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I disagree with that.
Well, I'm just saying because they didn't go to very good tracks. I mean, they did go to New Jersey Motorsports Park. I mean, every year. So
I will say, surprisingly, that Kansas Roval put out a good race. The Road America race was really good too.
Yeah,
when they raced there.
It's impossible to have a bad race at Road America.
I've been there for all but this past one, and there's been a more
USF 2000 struggles a bit.
More boring ones than not boring.
I will
admit, it was MX-5.
So the last time,
Mazda, yes,
last time I watched an IndyCar race at Road America was the one where Alexander Rossi stunk up the show. Helped that I was sick too, because I looked at my wife halfway through and I'm like, let's go, we're done.
I said the same thing to Jared, but I had to take Missy to court, so we had to leave early.
Was that the one where Rossi pushed Sato off the track?
Yes.
Yeah. My dad
where like the entire race was green somehow.
Yeah.
My dad would always go with me to that one because that was usually our one race a year. We go to one, and more often than not, we'd be out of there before the checkered flag was over because he was like, "All right, I've seen enough."
Yeah, that was the one where Pagano ended up off turn 5 twice. I remember that distinctly because after that second one, that was about halfway. I looked at my wife. I'm like, I'm done. The race is for second. I'm back. Rossi's 15 seconds ahead. I'm not feeling well. Let's go home.
I mean, it's doing this for the way we do it. It's hard to be unbiased. It really is because if you're a race fan, you have your favorite drivers. So I'm guessing is Pagano one of your favorite boys are?
No, it's not that. I've been in sport long enough. I can set aside my biases, but it was
go Will. Yeah,
it wasn't. It wasn't.
Drank milk with the team in Indy.
It was.
Thank you, ISCP.
Hey, Frank, it's enough.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't the passion. It wasn't the passion going off twice. It was the whole. Okay, the rabbit's running away from the flock. So
he should have got a penalty. Bottom line, should have got a penalty for it. He didn't get it. He should have. I was pissed.
Here's the thing. I'm really happy with IndyCar officiating the way it is now.
No, it's very good. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So.
Yeah, I very, very rarely complain about the officiating, and if anybody will complain about it, it'll be Missy. And if Missy's not complaining about the officiating, then it's really good.
I've never complained about officiating. I can't because I actually officiate a couple of high school sports, so I can never criticize the officiating. That's who I cheer for in every race.
Flag in your pocket, you piece of garbage.
Well, here's the thing. I've done some officiating myself in motorsports, so I know how tough it is. And sometimes I've been able to. I question some of the moves, and I knew one of the former Champ Car officials back. He used to do the stuff back in 03 when it switched over from kart. And he says it's a thankless job. I get it, but at the same time, you know, for example, the 2011 New Hampshire race. You know, what kind of call was that?
Frank can attest on that one. I'll let Frank speak on that one because he was actually there.
Which one? I'm sorry.
2011 New Hampshire.
The Double Bird.
I was there too, yeah.
That was Missy's first race ever.
Oh wow.
Huh.
Yeah. See, like because when Surfers Paradise happened, and they finally got their heads out of their behinds and became one series again, because I boycotted the split. When the split happened, I went, I'm out. You know, if you guys can't get your crap together and can't work together over money, and you want to split, you know, and you want to put the great drivers here, but don't put them in Indy and just put them in a bunch of weird road courses, and you want the crap of the crap and doing ovals, killing each other. Fine, I don't want to see it. I don't care. Don't care. I have no interest in it whatsoever. Bourdais won 4 championships. I don't need to say it anymore. So I'm glad I missed it. You know what I mean? My point being is, like, when they finally came back, I started watching again, and Missy would, you know, sit there with me and watch, and she would ask me a bunch of questions, and I would tell her about it. And now she knows more than I do, because she really caught the bug. And then I remember we did a side job at my football coach's house, made a decent amount of money, and New Hampshire was that weekend. I was like, let's go to New Hampshire because we're only like 5 hours south of it or so. Greatest breakfast I ever had was in a trolley car, just sitting off the middle of nowhere that morning before the race. It was great. I'll never forget that breakfast. God, that breakfast was great. Anyway, I'm going off the base. But so we get to New Hampshire. I mean, the day was horrible. It was off and on raining. Tony Kanaan does a 360 on the backstretch, takes a porta potty out. It was the greatest thing I ever saw. I mean, the nose of the car comes around, swipes the porta potty down, and I'm like, please, somebody be in there. Please, somebody be in there. Nobody was in there, but it was still cool looking. And then Danica, you know, wrecks half the field while they're going green. Like, they're going green, and I'm like, it's still raining. Like me and her are literally sitting dead center, right behind, you know, Bernard and everybody, or whoever it was. I forget who he flipped off. Anyway, it was Solario, but we were sitting like right behind them. So, you know, everything happens as they go green. Danica spins, takes everybody out. You see Will all mad, and then you see him do the the double birds. And I was like, look, Will just flipped us off. So we got to see that live. It was so odd. Like, it was just, but, you know, I mean, the race was a disaster. New Hampshire, I think, deserves another chance, you know, during a good day. It's small enough to where if a decent sized crowd shows up, it'll look packed. You know, it's small enough. Like Gateway, perfect example. Gateway looks great every time they have a race there. And I mean, they have one grandstand at 1 and 2 that I don't know if they opened up the last race, but the first race they didn't. They kept everybody on the front stretch, and that front stretch was packed. It was sold out almost. It looked right, Jared.
I'm not sure if the turn 1-2 grandstand. I don't think they ever opened that anymore.
I think they opened it for last year's race, just for distancing purposes.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like a great grandstand. I mean, you can see, you probably see a lot. I mean, 1 and 2 might be a little hard because of the angle, but the rest of the track you'll be able to see pretty good.
I went to spot for someone at a Pro 2000 test, and the thing about Gateway is that they put the grandstand on the wrong side. So when you're at the top of the grandstand, you look behind you and you have this beautiful view of the arch and of the St. Louis skyline, but then you turn around and look at the track, and behind you there's this like gigantic slag heap.
Yeah. It's like they really did not position that track very well to show off St. Louis.
Yeah.
Well, St. Louis is boring.
That is true. Very true. Like, I have a video of Christian and us crossing the bridge, and I'm screaming at the arch, like, what a waste of money. Look at all the bullets we could make out of that stupid arch.
Well, I'm a Cubs fan, so I can get away with saying that. So
yeah, I'm a Phillies.
I'm not going to get into your Midwestern rivalry stuff.
Oh, come on. You know what,
I
Charlie?
think baseball is boring.
Well,
unless they're winning, it's awesome.
No, even
I'm a Pirates fan, so I don't know anything about that.
unless you're actually there at the
What are you,
ballpark
a
in
Mets
person,
fan?
it's unbearable. Unbearably slow.
No, Charlie
Rain
roots
is about the speed of an Indy car.
I was going to say Charlie roots for the cooler beating Pirates.
Oh yeah, Pittsburgh. Okay,
So
yeah.
so he likes being mentally abused by teams that constantly finish under 500.
I could not name one Pittsburgh Pirate right now.
I couldn't either, to be honest with you. But
I couldn't name a Philly either because they ain't winning nothing.
to be fair, the Pirates are a really good argument for implementing a European promotion relegation system.
Yes.
There's a European regulation system in baseball.
For implementing that into baseball in general. So like the bottom 3 teams in the MLB would be relegated to AAA.
Oh, okay, yeah. I agree with you. I don't think enough teams get into the playoffs for the season to matter. And the season's so freaking long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like an F1 season, and F1. It doesn't seem like F1 gets a month and a half break, but at this point, it's insane. I mean, they get paid enough money, so screw them. I don't care. But it's insane. Like working in the F1 world has to be absolutely just insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had we have a friend. His name is Anyway, he's a good friend.
The friend, his name, I can't remember his name, but he's a good friend of ours.
I literally just woke up a half hour ago or an hour ago. Like I haven't slept in 3 days. It's like my pillow topper finally came in for my new bed, and I have a really bad back, so I finally got to lay down. I'm like, oh, and I was just out, And then Missy likes to position our kid around me and take pictures, and the cat and the dog while I'm sleeping. She's hysterical. I like her play doll while I'm sleeping.
I want to see the pictures of you and the dog.
I'll tell Missy someday.
I bet every time I just stay at their house when we go to New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, we have a guest room, we have a finished basement. So if anybody wants to come to, no, I'm kidding.
South Jersey, I don't recommend staying for long.
You're not coming. Yeah,
no. I stayed as.
You don't want to be a South Jersey. Yeah, I grew up here. It sucks here.
So when the pandemic started, my wife and I talked about getting an animal, and we just worked it out where we couldn't do it. So we're at Lowe's one day, and she goes, "Well, let's get the smoker." So I joke with her. I go, "She goes, well, let's get a pet. Let's get a cat." I go, "No, our cat's in the garage. It makes us some tasty meats."
Cats are awesome, man. Because all you got to do is put some water out, some food every once in a while, scoop some poop, and they're good to go, man. They're awesome. Dogs are a pain in the ass. No kidding. I love both. I have both. So, but I've always had like. Are you allergic to pets, or is your wife allergic to pets?
Well, she's allergic to cats, but we just with the way we travel in a non-pandemic world, it just didn't make sense at the time either. So
right, I got you. Yeah, I mean, we always had somebody to come over and have to walk the dog 6 times a day because that's how much attention he has. Otherwise, he'll tear my house apart. He's very spiteful. Anyway, moving off course here. Okay, so you guys want to talk some I don't know, some RTI maybe? Well first
they did have a iRacing event last night.
I haven't had a chance to watch that yet.
Charlie had a chance to watch it.
I haven't.
Oh, you have?
Talking to Mike Myers, by the way. I've been talking to Mike Myers recently about it. He's been doing the USF 2000, and good guy, man.
Yeah.
Really, really good guy. Probably gonna have him on the show in a week or two. It's gonna be his first year in USF 2000, so really looking forward to I mean, just the talent coming up in RTI is just phenomenal.
It's amazing how much talent there is in that series. And I mean, you take a look at the drivers that have already signed so far this season in USF 2000. Yeah. You know, you've got Thomas Netvo. I'm interested though in this. Oh no, that's an F4. My apologies. You know, you've got Kent Vaccaro. Here's another thing too. Simon Sykes hasn't signed on for a team yet. I would not be surprised I would be actually very surprised to see him without a ride in at Barber. The kid's got way too much talent to be sitting on the sidelines. I know Pabst just re-signed Hunter. Oh, that's for Pro 2000 for Hunter McElray. Velocity Racing Development. That's going to be the team to watch.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I was just talking to Hunter too, and I think his Hunter's rookie season. I think he went in a bit too confident,
right?
You know, I don't think he was ready for the talent he was about to face.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because on his way to winning that scholarship, the talent pool was not that deep. I don't think for that year.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not saying that's not taking anything away from Hunter. He's a great racer. I mean, we were happy that we were there for his first win at Road America. He's a really good dude. Really good personality. So he's a really good driver to have in this in the series coming up. And if he just refines his racecraft a bit more, I think he's going to be a really great IndyCar driver down the road. Definitely. I mean, if Parker Thompson could just get a break at Mid Ohio 1 year, and he'll might win a championship. I don't know, but he should be in IndyCar by now. What anybody tells me.
You know what's interesting too about this whole Indy Pro 2000. You're going to have James Rowe in Turn 3 Motorsport. We've seen how well that team is, and it helps that Peter Dempsey's leading. Is one hell of a engineer. He was one hell of a driver in the road to Indy. And then you have Hunter Yaney in Velocity Racing Development. He was quick in F4. He showed some pace at COTA for FR Americas. I expect them to be battling for wins. Also, don't overlook Kiffin Simpson or Enzo Fittipaldi. I love this pairing of Enzo and Andretti Steinbrenner. That is a fantastic duo right there.
And I love legacy drivers. IndyCar. That's one thing I love about IndyCar is legacy drivers, the Andrettis, your Ray Halls, I mean, don't get me wrong, I have my feelings about any Andrettis, but whatever. It's just good to always have that name there, that recognition, and I was sad to see Unser the Third really not pan out, but I think he came through at just the wrong time. It was just the wrong time for the series and everything.
And really sticking in the road to Indy too. Here's what's interesting. You have a couple drivers that are on the outside looking in, but all 12 full-time teams they're full. However, a couple weeks ago we had Tim Neff of TJ Speed. He said he has a car that if someone leases it from Juncos, that he's going to run full-time. I'm hearing exclusive didn't sell all their Indy Lights cars. There's one hanging around there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see 14, 15 full-time cars, which is huge considering how lean the field has been.
It's a lot better than what it has been.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll take
double digits at this point.
And right now we have 12 full-time cars.
That's 6 more than we're used to.
Yeah, exactly. And the
no Freedom 100.
Yeah, that's a little disappointing, but
that was disappointing.
It
was a gut punch right there.
I think that as long as we see growth in Indy Lights, Roger Penske will allow Indy Lights back at the Freedom 100. I can see Roger's reasoning on why they're not having it. Do I like it? No, I don't like it. Because
what was the reasoning again?
There was just too little of a field, and he couldn't see the expense.
Yeah, I mean, and I totally get that. With a small field, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for such a huge track like that. Where else is Indy Lights going to go?
You mean?
What's up? Go ahead, Frank.
No, I'm sorry. Just what expense was he concerned about to the teams themselves?
I guess, yeah, he was concerned about, too much risk and not enough reward, especially with, we'd have like fields of maybe 10 if we were lucky. Not all of them were full timers, but shoot.
Yeah, you have like 4 times the support staff at the track for 10 guys to.
Honestly, I would pay big money to see Linus Lundqvist run the oval at Indianapolis.
Definitely.
The kid was on fire this past season in FR Americas. This, I think, I've talked about this with our buddy Rob Howden. This Indy Lights field is stacked this year.
Yeah, and by the way, shout out to Rob Howden. If you want to know anything about Road to Indy, like really deep, you want to know, basically, if you're a driver, get close to Rob Howden and listen to everything he says. If you're a fan and you want to know more about it, check out his show. Just Google Rob Howden for the name of it. I forget the name.
Yeah,
of it.
Rob's class act.
Yeah,
and the fact that he is more in the series is really beneficial. So some of your listeners, Rob and I are going to be working together to get more of the Road to Indy drivers on our show to give them more exposure. So when they go to Indy Lights or IndyCar, they know how to handle themselves in front of a microphone. Because let's be honest here, when they get in the Road to Indy, that's the first time that these kids are, they have to deal with media.
Mm-hmm.
So Rob just messaged me. Exclusive sold both of their lights cars to HMD. They don't have any cars, so I was mistaken. Thank you, Rob. Case in point.
Well, there you go. Thank you, Rob.
I was wrong.
The guru, Rob Howden himself, everybody. The guru himself.
He's Mr. Road to Indy.
Yeah,
he was actually promoted. Got a more official role with Road to Indy for this season, which is awesome because he's class act. He's one of the best out there.
There is, as I told him, there's no better person for that role than him. And he's not sent me the check in the mail yet. Rob, I expect it, and I don't want it in Canadian dollars either.
Yeah, no, that's very much devalued. But if you go up there, they'll take your American dollars. They won't give you any change, but convert it.
Take glass bottles of maple syrup.
I'd say 4 years ago, I finally got up to Exhibition Place to go watch the Indy cars and everybody run up there, and that was the greatest thrill ever because Toronto has always been one of my favorite tracks. Unfortunately, it was one of the first years they had the windy pit road, so I didn't get to see too much racing. However, I can't remember which one it was, but one of Dale Coyne's pay drivers actually whacked the wall really hard in front of us. It was the one where he hit the wall and actually caught fire. I think that was in qualifying too.
Ooh,
yeah.
Wasn't that the same weekend where Will kind of just basically died at the end of pit lane and his whole team had to go run after him?
I don't think he did the end. I think he barely made it he was like leading the first stint of the race.
Yeah.
And then after that.
Yeah.
Let me do some looking.
Yeah. And that race was the first race I noticed Quentin, the fueler. You see this 300-pound Quentin just huffing it down pit lane, and the entire team behind him. They're like 50 yards behind him.
It was Esteban Gutierrez. That was who was in the routine car.
Yeah, old crash everything I drive Esteban. Yep.
Because I remember we got tickets off the last turn, so right at pit out, and I hear, and I look over, and instinctively I push my wife back, and I duck. The loudest, I mean, I've heard some loud hits, but that was the loudest. And I look over, and all of a sudden I see black smoke coming out the back of the car. It's like, well, that was a heavy hit.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing with street courses. I mean, when they hit the wall, they hit the wall.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I almost watched Parker Thompson really flip over on his head at St. Pete. That's why I love St. Pete. The beginning of St. Pete. To start off a seat, honestly, God, USF 2000, race 1, St. Pete. That's about the most exciting racing you'll ever see off the line, ever. Because my goodness, do they not know what they're doing in the race 1, into turn 1? There's always
the first race of the season at a street course for a driver development series. That's jumping in the deep end.
I'll tell you what, though, that was also the race weekend that I fell even more in love with the MX-5 Cup because they were running I've never seen it on street courses before then in person, and that was so fantastic. Seeing beat and bang against each other, beat and bang against the walls, and still keep going.
So we went from floor cam to ceiling cam.
That's why now, like when I'm looking at you guys while you talk on my monitor, I'm not having the camera about 1.5 feet below me. So I can look at you guys and it looks like I'm actually looking at the camera. So it took a little while. But
are you using your TV as a monitor?
No, this is my girlfriend's office. She has 2 monitors mounted on the wall already, and then I brought a third one from upstairs. So it's actually, I recreated the same layout I have in my office at work.
You need to get iRacing back on them.
Can I get a graphics card? No, it's impossible.
You're still waiting for the graphics card?
I pre-ordered it December 2nd, and they're like, yeah, maybe. Now it's like early May. Maybe.
It's tough to get electronic equipment. I'm lucky that I was able to get some of the ones I could here.
If I was mining Bitcoin, I could get 100 of them. But
I don't understand.
I want to play video games, so I can't have one.
I want to mine Bitcoin as a profession so bad. I just don't know what it means. But it sounds so easy. I don't know. I'm tired of being an electrician.
That's a whole other thing.
Anyways, okay. Excuse me.
Yeah, definitely Road to Indy is where I plan on spending the vast majority of my focus this year at the track and on this podcast. So like the plan is to like do these live video or like, and maybe not live video, but some sort of video like podcast with drivers at the track, like some behind the scenes stuff, kind of get inside access for people who can't be at the track because it's now harder than ever to be able to be there in person to see it. And so I want to bring that kind of stuff to the fans.
Well, and is the IndyCar bubble include the Road to Indy, or is it just
track dependent? So I only made 3 races last year. I was able to do Mid-Ohio, the New Jersey thing for the Road to Indy, and then the St. Pete finale.
Okay.
And for Mid-Ohio, the entire paddock, because in Mid-Ohio, it's all fenced in. That whole you couldn't get in there. That was the bubble, was that whole fenced in area. So even normal media credentials couldn't get you in there. You had to be in the bubble. And so I wasn't able to get into the bubble, but I was still able to do my work. They actually opened up on the other side of the track. There's a long, skinny, like the TV. So, yeah. I got to be, unfortunately, in the booth adjacent to the NBC Sports booth. So I felt the urge to want to prank a certain member of the NBC Sports. Yes.
Oh, you don't want to prank Lee Diffie. I don't want to meet Lee in the dark alley. I'll tell you that.
No, definitely not. No, not Lee, but it would probably be the other member of that booth that you wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley because he probably would fight you dirty.
So I've spent some time at Mid-Ohio in that broadcast booth as because we're working with NASA. I would have to go over there and, confirm stuff with race control in between races. So, you have to go from the then Goodyear Tower down through the paddock around. And I've done that several times. Luckily I was able to drive everywhere because, with club races, they don't really monitor what whatever. But
you being in Chicago was perfect, man. You're like just You're like, being from Philly, it's such a nightmare to try to get anywhere.
Anything.
So I would check with race control, hang out there, and some of the smells from that place.
It was definitely a different experience from being up in the tower, but I got to be there, so I was happy.
Which I love Mid-Ohio. We were there 11 years straight.
Which that tower is another story too, because that glass 6x6 that John Phippen broadcasts from. I interned with World Challenge in 09 as an announcer with the late great Tom Natchew. So imagine myself, Tom Natchew, who wasn't a small guy, and John Phippen all crammed into this 6x6 glass enclosure trying to broadcast a race.
Wow.
It was something. But one thing I loved, my wife, at that time was my girlfriend, she would come with me to the track as my spotter. And anytime there was something that she would see, I'd be looking, of course, the other way down the track. I'd hear bap, bap, bap. She'd bang against the glass point. And, that was great to have. But, yeah, it's an interesting facility. I will say the tower has its perks. I will miss it if they destroy it, but I won't miss that broadcast booth.
No, there's one tower I do miss. It's Circuit of the Americas.
Okay.
That tower, I'll tell you, it's a great view of literally 95% of the track. The only thing you can't really see is like the stadium section because one side of the stadium blocks it. But other than that, you can see literally the entire track. Just there's also a glass floor throughout most of it, so I don't recommend looking down if you're that sort of thing. It gets you because it's pretty tall up there, and you just
during the race. Do the teams have spotters up there?
Yes, I saw during the support series, like Road to Indy. I know someone were up there. Because they sell, like it normally costs money to go up there. They charge money. And so they try to limit the number of team people up there. But so a lot of the team guys, like the stairs that also go up there, they would just hang out like kind of a level or so down the stairs where they were out of the way and nobody really cared. They just had to move around as needed. But
yeah, they should build like a second deck for team
I'm
person.
pretty sure the IndyCar teams weren't allowed to because that was like their prime money-making time. So I'm pretty sure the IndyCar teams weren't allowed to use it.
Well, then they should use the money to actually fix the elevator because I have a couple buddies who, go there constantly. And they say, yeah, the elevator's always broken. So,
yeah, it wasn't broken the time I was there, but yeah, I could totally see why it breaks all the time.
It's all trailer.
It's probably frozen, but right now. But.
I talked to. I had a conversation with Willie T. We're having an upcoming episode sometime soon where we're going to interview Ernie Francis Jr. He's got an FR America's ride, and I go to him. I'm like, he's saying that they did have some blackouts, but I believe they're fine now because now they're in the 60s. Lucky, but he's like, yeah, it's the coldest it's been down here, which is saying something.
Yeah.
What, down in Barber?
No, down at Texas.
Oh, okay.
Frank doesn't live in the real world. He doesn't. he isn't aware of what happens in the world because Frank is a very busy person, which he really is. His job is always calling him, and now he has a baby.
Who do you think keeps texting me? I have 2 stores already that's texting me already. It's crazy. No, there's a storm. A storm came through here earlier. So
I know. I saw a picture. I'm like, wow, you actually have snow on the ground there.
Snow? What's that? We're finally getting.
Big pain. It's something that hides all the ice that you don't see. No, but down here in South Jersey, this is the first year in 2 years we've actually had snow, so we've been actually pretty lucky. But screw snow. I mean, Texas gets some snow, and it's just like a state emergency.
Yeah, basically.
They get 2 inches. They're like, "Oh my god!
Time to shut the town down."
I know. We got flurries. Oh, brother. So, what part of New York are you from there, Charlie?
I live in Harlem right now, but I've lived on various parts of Manhattan.
Well, is that where you grew up in? New York?
No, I grew up in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
I moved here for college and stayed.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
at least now I can't imagine.
Yeah, I don't go out much, so it's not too bad. But yeah, things have gotten kind of weird.
Yeah, weird's an understatement.
Yeah.
Those who do venture out, it's weird.
Yeah. So I went out a bit today, and it doesn't look like if you walk around, it doesn't look that different, except people are wearing masks. but you kind of notice that like a lot of things are closed, and the homeless people are harder to ignore. And you hear a lot about a lot of things on the subway, but yeah.
yeah, I've seen lots of pictures and videos from the subway.
Yeah, it's I try to avoid it.
Yeah, I would not be going in the subway. I actually know somebody who rides the subway every day and doesn't wear a mask.
Mm.
Yeah, I know. It's
all right. Well,
You're that guy?
No, I'm not. I don't live in New York City.
No.
I don't. I just know this. I met this guy once, and he has another podcast, and he likes to take pictures on his Instagram of him not wearing a mask on the subway.
Yeah, I'm lucky that I don't have to go outside if I don't want to, other than to the grocery store.
Who? Who are you talking about?
That's not so.
Who? Salami breath? You're talking about the guy that lost his scissors 20 years ago. Okay.
Okay. Wow.
Well, Marshall Pro, everybody. Anyways, so what you guys okay, so first off, let's remind everybody again. You can get our show from the IndySportsCarPodcast.com. Missy usually says it, so I forget to do that. But also, Jared, we have another website where you can see all of our live streams on any.
Yeah, actually, it's on our YouTube page and our Facebook page. You just search Indy Sports Car Podcast, and you'll find us. And like this is on our YouTube page right now. Actually, now that I look over on the one side of the screen, I see a ton of comments from both our buddy Greg and Josh Farmer as well. Watching.
All right, buddy. Greg
Shout out to our fans tuning in live. So yeah. Oh yeah, and I would be remiss, and I will take this from Greg. Rest in peace, Fat Boy Racing. They announced returning to Indy Pro 2000 this year, that they have sold their car to, I can't remember what team.
Turn 3. Yeah, they sold it to Turn 3. Charlie, do you have any comment on Fat Boy Racing?
I mean, I'm good friends with Brendan, the team manager, but there's other members of the team that I'm not such a big fan of.
And we'll leave it at that.
Pretty much, most of the team is cool.
They're pretty laid back over there, but I can imagine that not everybody is as laid back as the majority of people.
I mean, Exclusive Auto Sports is another outfit where, like, when they first came in, they were awesome. Like, what a great team that they put together and everything. And I don't know what happened, but I'd say like the last year they just kind of deviated from where they were going, and I just, like, I go over there, I have no idea who I'm looking at or who's doing what, or I mean they had a real good thing going, because I mean Canada has a lot of good talent in it, and they were a perfect team for an outlet for Canada. And do they even have a Canadian racing forum anymore?
Doesn't Quebec still have a Formula 4 Ford championship, Charlie?
They've got the F1600 championship.
Okay, yeah, because I know they had the Ontario had one. They may still have one. It was Toyo Tires. Charlie, because Charlie actually used to race in the Quebec one.
I when I had the MyGal, I went up there because it was a little bit cheaper for some reason, and they go to some really cool tracks. They go to Mont-Tremblant, Montreal, Trois-Rivières, and a couple other ones. But so I ran there for the first year. And then the years after that, I raced in the F1600 series here. But I still go to Montreal every chance I can, because that's a really cool race.
I need to get up there. That's on my bucket list of tracks to get up to.
Let's see. Coda's one of my tracks I still haven't made it to that I really want to go see. TMS, I couldn't care less.
I don't. TMS is the night race at Texas when you sit up in the press box up there and you can see the entire track and Big Hoss.
Jared, they called it a race for raining, and it hadn't rained 19 hours. Screw you, Eddie Gossage. That's all I gotta say.
I think that was the payback for CART canceling their race in 2001.
Karma's a bee. It's like we spent 2 weeks trying to educate what weeping and leaking is. It's like it was weeping, not leaking, you guys. Come on.
Did anybody go think about talking to those spots so they'd stop weeping, console them? Stuff like that.
Yeah, get them a tissue. Let's go. Yeah, it was weeping because he wants more money and he wants to be right after Indy, which I want TMS to be right after Indy too. I have a whole reason behind that.
At least we know where Eddie Gossage's power ends, because for all the crap and throwing up when IndyCar wanted to go to Circuit of the Americas, all of the you just wanted just so mad. You totally rolled over when NASCAR does it. NASCAR did the same thing, and he doesn't care. He rolled right over.
I don't get that. And I'm actually bummed the IndyCar's not going back to COTA this year. And I have a feeling NASCAR had a hand to play in it, which, it's weird because they want to work with IndyCar, but now for COTA, we're going to stab you back.
No.
I heard St. Pete. What is this crap? Like NASCAR to St. Pete?
That won't happen.
I hope it better not. It just better not. Like, NASCAR has this like horrible. I've noticed they love to piggyback off of the series that are actually climbing, because they're always falling, kind of like IMSA Rolex thing, like, oh my God, well, we'll take over IMSA and destroy GTLM while we're at it. It's not good at that down that road. But my point being is like, like when I heard St. Pete, I'm like, please no, just no.
They'll never make it past turn one.
No, are you kidding? I mean, they can barely make it past turn one in Talladega. How are they going to do it at St. Pete?
Well, I think it's going to be really interesting next year how the new car races on road courses, because I mean, based on my iRacing experience, those stock cars are just awful.
It's all the tire.
I would rather go to the dentist without.
Oh God!
Than drive a stock car on a road course. I just not interested.
Well, somehow I feel like that NASCAR, like, they're not completely brain dead, in that the next car they're building is actually going to be slightly designed for road courses. Because
it actually,
with trend they're going, they realize that they can't really put on much of a show on an oval anymore, and that road courses actually appeal to people who understand that right turns are turns too.
Yeah, the new car actually has like mid to late 20th century technology.
Yeah.
Well, and look at who's running NASCAR now. The same person who ran Grand Am, Jim France. So that's not a big surprise.
Yeah, and Grand Am actually started making a comeback after he left. So,
go
figure. We used to have a driver, Jordan Bernlohr, on a lot.
Okay.
He raced that green Camaro, a really nice looking green Camaro that they had. I don't really know what ever happened with it all, because they had a good thing going. They had, I think, a CBS first season. I think CBS was airing them first season, but nothing ever came of it, and they just disappeared. And basically, like, us losing the Speed Channel was one of the worst things that could have happened to motorsport at the time, I swear, because they showed so many different series that you never got to see. And now, if you want to see a certain series, you have to jump through a bunch of hoops and spend a bunch of money to stream it on some weird, app.
Nope. Stop. Stop. We don't want to get into that rant. Charlie and I already had that rant, and we're going to be here all night if we go into that rant.
NBC Gold. Thank God I'm already. We've been NBC Gold.
Well, you see, you don't have to pay for it anymore because it'll just go to Peacock. So if you're a Comcast subscriber, then you'll get it for free. You won't have to pay for it anymore.
Which I am.
Me too.
I don't have really a choice. It's either Comcast or go get a satellite dish and suffer.
Yeah, same here.
Comcast is my daddy. Oh boy, I'm getting bass. What is that? Is that me or is that me? Does anyone else hear that?
Yeah, I hear it.
Okay. All right. So is that you, Jared?
I'm willing to bet it probably is.
It's like.
Oh, it shouldn't be that, but like might be my computer, like the fans on the cooling.
Why do you have a fan on?
Well, the water cooler.
I don't know. I can't talk over that. Pause. Pause. Oh, okay. There, I'll see the sound wave. All right. Whatever sound that is, we need to fix that. I can't hear it. Somebody mute themselves so we can figure out who it is.
Let's see here. Yeah, I'll just do this.
Yeah, Jared, mute yourself.
Oh, that was Charlie.
Sorry about that.
What the heck's going on out there?
Sorry,
as Charlie looks into the abyss.
Sorry, Charlie. My bad, buddy. That was getting it was like in my headphones.
He's talking and we can't hear him. God, I wish I had that feature for the podcast. I mean, never mind.
Sorry about that.
What was going on?
It might have been a train going by. I live right next to a train station.
Oh, well, that'll do it.
Well, yeah, that explains a lot. Okay. All right. Hold on. Ready? Right on, guy. Yeah, I know. Jared, you are hysterical.
That's where he's going to cut.
Yeah. You kill me. You kill me with your flannels. Listen. All right. So, but I'm sorry. I kind of cut myself off. So we kind of said where we come from. You guys obviously do a show. You're coming up on your year anniversary.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hopefully whoever listens really gets a chance to come over. We try and get as many people as we can throughout the world of open wheel racing. The big thing is I felt like, there need to be stories to tell because, you guys help carry the void, but also there's not many people to tell stories of Formula Race Promotions and the USFIA series, and they all put on a good show. We're lucky that we have some great open wheel series here in the United States. I know a lot of people complain that there's different paths to get up there. Yes, but at the same time, it brings a lot of talent within North America, and it spurs it off to sports cars and stock cars. Yes, but there's stories to tell. How these drivers got to where they're at, and we're lucky to be able to tell them. This week, which if you're listening live, we'll be releasing in the next hour or so. We've got Josh Green, one of the newest drivers of Turn 3 Motorsport. Chris Demerit, who we also cover a sim racing series. Charlie also races in. So Chris Demerit's the recent winner at Texas. Brian Belansky, who's a friend of mine, gave us some info on the SCCA Super Tour Open Wheel Series. And we also talk some IndyCar as well this week. Some driver, he's a podcast host. I tried to get some tips on how to become a podcast host into an IndyCar driver. James Hinchcliffe just wouldn't talk about that. And then we have the CEO of Capstone and George Steinbrenner IV on board. So very interesting show. This is one of my favorite shows. I think you guys are going to love it.
Well, good. It's quite the lineup.
Yeah, it's a really good lineup. And Charlie, and what's great is this week Charlie's going to do news and notes with me, and then we're going to talk some sim racing afterwards, and just talk about the news of the day. I'm lucky to have one of my best friends as a co-host, somebody who's been behind the wheel, able to do this and bring some legitimacy to the show. And when we have the racing season, we're very blessed to have some great analysts with us. Nick Yeoman from the IndyCar Radio Network usually is on board with us. We're actually going to be looking for a new FRA F4 analyst because FanRacing.live is not going to be the broadcaster, so I'm working on that. Rob Howden, always great to have on for the road to Indy. So really, we're excited to have so many people within the sport who, I'm blessed to have the knowledge, but there's people who know a lot more than me, and I'm able to bring them on the show and tell the story. And and that's the whole thing. I love telling the story. We had Willie T actually was one of the first legends of open wheel racing. I called him a day after to let him know, hey, the podcast is up. And he goes, how long were we talking? He's like, I'm like, about 90 minutes. He goes, oh, S, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. I go, Willie, I'm here to tell your story. I want you to tell it. I'm just here to facilitate and get it out of you. So,
it was right after he did Uppity, right?
Yeah, it's right after he did Uppity. Yeah. And I actually know one of the guys who was an official when Willie was coming up in S2000, the S2000 series. So I got a little insight on that too. So that was pretty cool.
Hey, Jared, do you want to tell the story about the Uppity premiere?
Oh no.
Oh, I don't really remember the story. I'll let you tell it. I can't really remember that much of it.
All right, so Jared's been our co-host for about a little over a year now, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, we've been doing this. I guess this is our 7th season. I guess 6 seasons. I lost count. Since 2014, anyway. November 2014 we started. So we've had Jared's our third co-host. Third co-host that we've had. Missy and I. But in between Jay and Jared, we had Christian on. Christian Alexio. Yeah, so I don't know how to say his last name. Anyway, him and Willie T. Ribbs are really like good friends. Like Christian's book, which is really good. Willie T. Ribbs forwarded it. It's called My Life and Story of the Outside Groove. Mm-hmm. Everybody should definitely pick it up. Barnes and Nobles, Maximilian. I've heard it so many times I couldn't ramble it off. But I mean, it is a really good book. I mean, I don't read books, and I actually read it, and it was really good. So, anyway, during the premiere, which was was it 2 or 3 years ago there, Jared? 2 years ago? No, or 3?
It was like maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, I want to say it was 3 years ago. I think it was 2018, I think, wasn't it?
Which would be 3 years ago now.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so 2018 is and they had the premiere, the week of, the 500, and we have a buddy who is in the media center, Diamante, Chris Diamante. He does some writing for a whole lot of different sites and all. He'll do this. He does a lot of stuff with Road to Indy sometimes. He'll pop up here and there. He's a good journalist. So he's been friends with us. He's been coming on the show for a long time, and him and Christian went with Willie T. Ribbs to the premiere together. So it was him, Diamante, and Christian, and afterwards, the only thing Diamante asks Willie is, why didn't you show the footage of you killing that guy in was it where was it, Jared? What track was that where he ran the guy over by accident?
Oh, Vancouver that was.
Yeah, the Vancouver accident where he ran the guy over with his back tire. That's the only thing he asks him.
Oh, jeez.
Right? And Christian's like, what are you doing? Like, why would you ask that?
Exactly.
Why would you want to make money off of you accidentally killing a guy? Like,
yeah.
I mean, racing's racing. It happens. And if you've ever seen it, it's not Willie's fault whatsoever. He didn't do anything wrong. It's just like S happens. Murphy's Law,
Mm-hmm.
Nobody did anything wrong during that entire series of events. It just happened, it sucks, but it happened.
Yeah.
But why on earth would you put that in your uppity thing, uppity premiere movie, And why on earth would you ask the guy that as soon as he's done airing it to everybody for the first time? The first question he gets asked is that.
Jesus. Wow. All right.
And when I heard that, I'm just like, oh, Chris. Christian, I don't think Chris and Christian have talked to each other since.
Yeah, no.
No, that's no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's Christian's like, he's not with me. I don't know who he is.
Never seen in my life.
Just some white boy, they all the same. I'm just kidding.
If there's a book that also it's a Tommy Byrne book. I can't remember. Is it the? Let me get it. Hold on a second.
So when did I can see your helmet right there? So when are you still racing or did you
not? I haven't raced last year. I'm probably not going to do much this year, but I've been in the F1600 Championship Series from 18 and 19.
Oh,
and then I raced in Pro Mazda back in 06 and 07.
Oh, right on, man. That's awesome.
Speaking of stuff that we shouldn't talk about, he's got a claim to fame with Pro Mazda, specifically at Montreal.
Oh yeah, have you guys ever seen the video of that huge pile up in turn 5?
I've lost everybody.
Jared.
Hold on, Roger checking.
There we go. Hello.
I don't remember it. Well, like I said, I took a break from open wheel from 98 to 08, so it was like a 10-year hiatus for me. So which really sucks because there was a lot of good stuff in Indy license and all that.
Yep, I can hear it. That's it.
So anyway, I found the book. It's Crashed and Burned. If you get a chance to read it, I highly recommend it. It is a fantastic story on Tommy Byrne, and I'm lucky, not just because I'm lucky enough to know him, but it's a good book. The documentary, I've seen it. It's really well done. He's got a new edition that came out not too long ago as well. So
awesome.
The funny part about this is I bought
Where
this.
Can they get it at?
What's up?
Where can they get it at?
You can get it anywhere online. Amazon is the best place to get it. I actually got this on eBay from a library, and I brought it into Tommy one day, and he goes, "Who the hell in their right mind would have this in a library?" So it's a really good book.
Awesome.
Well, I do believe.
Well, what I was getting to is do you guys want to tell everybody out there when you started the show, the name of the show, where people can hear the show or watch the show, listen to the show?
Yeah, so it's Inside Open Wheel. We started it in March, and it was basically I had audio equipment how to record from home, and we do our best to do weekly. We obviously take a holiday hiatus because there's not much news that comes out in the holiday. Of course, I was proven wrong this past season, but you can find us on any podcast service, so Apple, Google, radio.com, iHeartMedia, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, you can find us. Make sure you subscribe, hit the the notification button so you can get all the notifications you want. Tell your friends. We're working on trying to get to racetracks too, so we can do hopefully live shows as well. Just follow us on Twitter, Facebook. We're hoping to get a website up in the next couple of months as well. We're working on that. So
the website's great, man. You just tell them website, boom, it's right there. You go to one page, everything's right there. And we are now on Audible, everybody. I can't believe it. Go to Audible. We won't make a dime.
How did you guys get on Audible?
I have not a clue.
I've tried to get on Audible, but they said, "Oh, you need an original idea, the one that you're not already doing." I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I typed in IndyCar because Audible literally just came out with a podcast feature. It was last month, I think. It's like a month old. And just for S and Eagles, I type in IndyCar, and there's 4 shows that pop up, and it's us, and it's the girls, and it's 2 different shows from IndyCar itself. That like Kevin Lee,
trackside, and
the normal, sponsored, sanctioned shows. You know what I mean? Which they make money for doing that, which is the 0.1% that do this. You know what I mean? So, but my point being is like there's only 4 of us, and for some reason we're one of it. I'm like, number one, how did we get on Audible? Well, but that's the great thing about being on Podbean is when we host a show through Podbean and you put it out, as soon as I hit publish, it goes to 1,000 different places.
I want to know how you end up on there and they don't actually notify you. You're just on there out of nowhere and with no notifications. What, like they're
dude, we're everywhere and I have no idea unless I with the app and search. But
so here's what's interesting. I typed in open wheel and we are the 3rd one down. So that's
I'm looking at something
because this was like a week ago I checked. So they must be adding more and more. There's only 4 on there last week.
Yeah, I saw the girls, I saw yours, and there was like the King Hero podcast and another one, but that's weird. I'm not complaining, trust me. The more I'm on, the happier I am.
Yeah, it's just like, do I do an Audible commercial now? Like, is there text 500 and get your free Audible book? I won't make a dime off of it.
Hey, if they're gonna pay me to do a spot, I'll do it in a heartbeat. Trust me.
How are we on Audible when people pay to listen to that service? I should be getting paid, son.
No, the people listening to Frank should.
The Chippa wants the cheddar. The Chippa wants the cheddar.
Yep.
Oh God.
There it is. I knew I had it.
Anyway, no.
I think I found a video here of a.
Oh, there we go. There's the claim to fame.
So this is Charlie, guy on the top from Montreal.
By the way, can I say how gorgeous that double rotary engine sounds? I miss that at the track.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
It's awful. It gives it like some kind of weird whistle.
Well, that was those cameras back then, weren't they? Like the race keepers. That's what they were.
Indy DV.
Yeah, those are so weird.
Yeah, I had to send it to a guy to get it on YouTube.
That definitely is. Montreal. Was it again Montreal? Or,
yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something to value. Nice move on the inside. I like it. Oh, that's grass. That's grass.
So 1X off track 1X.
Yeah.
You missed a gear there. It's okay. I'm kidding. Oh, Jesus. You are one lucky son of a bitch. Congratulations, sir.
That's quite the save.
Yeah, bravo.
Yeah, I think he's got some wheel damage up ahead.
Yeah.
I think his toe link is I think he broke his toe link.
Yeah.
Slightly.
Yeah, that was my 3rd professional race. And before that, I had done like 2 years of club karting and 2 years in the Skippy Regional Series.
Nice.
So that was jumping in the deep end.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah, really. Circuit Villeneuve. I mean, that's one. I would say it's the top 5 road courses I love to race on iRacing. I would say. Definitely.
You know, let me say this. When Pro Mazda made the change to the carbon fiber wings, I think that made that car look even better.
Oh, heck yeah. Like I thought the Indy Lights car was the best looking open wheel car, like when it came out back in the 15, 16s.
Yeah.
Because like I was even saying, when I think IndyCar, I think Indy Lights car.
Yeah.
That's what it should look like. And thank God, or thank goodness, we got Jay Fry up in there thinking the same thing.
Well, here's the thing too, that Indy Lights car, it reminded me of what a next generation Atlantic car would be. It looks and sounds like
it probably will be.
It basically is.
The
next Atlantic car. So speaking of Atlantics, I don't know if you guys cover FRP, but here's an interesting thing. The Atlantic,
but
they're taking they're taking the old, if you remember the last generation of the Atlantic series, they're taking those cars, they're going to run those unrestricted. That's going to be fantastic this season. I'm excited for that.
They're going to drive are they the four cylinders Mazdas, or
they're the four-cylinder Mazda MZR engine.
And they're going to run them unrestricted.
They're going to run them the same spec that they did in the
They're going to be blowing them up left and right. That's what they're going to do.
Well, Merle Swan is going to be in charge of most of the cars there, so I have confidence in his team.
All I have to say is 2017 Road America, and then you can go and see what an unrestricted four-cylinder Mazda can do.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Boom! 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 What happened to half the field? They blew their engine.
Yeah. They're off on the grass.
Yeah. How many engines they got left? None. They're all out. By race 2, there was no one left. That was the worst pack I've ever been in. I have never been in a sadder paddock in my life than that. I don't know, Jared, do you remember that race?
No, I don't.
Walking through the paddock, it was like walking like somebody just massacred like a family, like an orphan family of like 15 little girls or something. Okay, it's going a little too far, but that's how it felt. Okay. I'm like, how far can I take that?
Here's a line.
Jeremy's like,
I can't take this anymore.
Well, what have I gotten myself into?
I know. No, but it was odd. It was like when we walked in there, we were like, "Ooh, let's leave this place," because people were so mad. Oh my goodness! I think they blew 36 engines that weekend. 36 in 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, Pro Maz or USF 2000 Pro Maz at that point were running the same engine. There was just different modify. I think. No, it was 18. It had to be 18 then. And yeah, I remember we did an interview with Nikita Lashak in that day, and it was just very odd. Missy cost him lasting chicken. I saw you had him on your show.
Yeah, Nikita's great. That's going to be an interesting pairing with him over at HMD Global Racing Group. Oh no, I'm sorry. Over at HMD with David Malukas. That was kind of out of left field with that pairing, because there were rumors that Nikita was going to be on the outside looking in, but then that's when the exclusive auto sport not going to run Indy Lights happened. Well, then he went over to test at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, and man, I'm excited for that 4-car lineup. That's going to be a fantastic lineup.
I was really happy to see David Malukas.
That was going to be no surprise. I mean, we saw how quick he was in first practice last year at St. Petersburg, and we saw how he was the only driver in FR Americas who was constantly running with Linus Lundqvist when Linus let it happen, that is, because as we all know, Linus ran away with the show and won all but a couple of races in the 2020 season, and those races went to David Malukas. So I think last year was a big eye-opener, and I think that David Malukas is going to be a force to reckon with. Here's the thing. I'm not even going to make a prediction on the Indy Lights Championship. That is how stacked that field is.
Oh, you're not going to make a prediction?
No, I'm not going to, because you can have anyone in that field show up and win a race.
Very true. Yeah, very true. I mean, I'm pulling for Robert McGinnis because he's a close friend of ours.
Buddy Bravo.
But my unbiased, he's got the skills to do it.
Mm-hmm.
He's got Andretti behind him to have him do it. So it's really in his court right now. If he wins or loses, it's because of him. I mean, he's got the best equipment. I mean, he's got the most experience. Pretty much out of the whole grid, except for a few guys. I mean, he's been in that paddock 6-7 years now, coming right up through USF 2000, and he's got a great personality. Robert McGinnis is like a perfect IndyCar, a transitional type of a driver with his personality and his talent. Definitely, he just had to get a little bit more serious about his racing. So he was treating it almost like a hobby back a couple years ago, but then all of a sudden, like, something kicked in his head, and he just kind of turned a switch on, and all of a sudden he was fighting out with Oliver and Pato and all these guys that, like, every week he was in it. So
I've got to say this too. You take a look at the progression of the Road to Indy ladder from where it was, from the open wheel ladder in the middle 2000s to where it is now, and it's amazing the change. You used to see in the IRL and Champ Car at the time, you would see drivers come in from overseas, and they pay their way into a C. You had the rare exceptions, and like a Graham Rahal and Ed Carpenter, Dan Weldon making their way up through the open wheel rad links. Well, now you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who hasn't had their way up the open wheel ladder, in IndyCar. Heck, even Ed Jones, look at how well he did in Indy Lights. So many Road to Indy graduates.
Oh yeah, I mean, like our logo, that is Ed Jones.
Yeah. So
I've just distorted it all to hell that you can't tell.
So here's the thing. Credit goes to Dan Anderson, the entire Anderson Promotions department. They do a fantastic job with promoting drivers throughout the ranks. And man,
yeah, to be honest, like, speaking of Ed Jones, I'm really happy that he's going to be on the grid this year. To be honest with you, I mean, he really deserves it.
Him being back with Dale Coyne is huge, because you take a look at Bourdais, how well he did in that 18 car. I think Santino Ferrucci may have won a race if he stayed in the 18 car, but yeah, Ed Jones, that's going to be so great for him, because he's back with a team he's familiar with, and he's going to be the senior member of the team, which to me still sounds weird, because if you think about it, every team he's been on, he's been the junior. So
just like a Felix and Pato, the two most talented youngest drivers on the face of the earth right now.
Yeah,
I've been saying this for 4 years, and they're finally in the series together. And last year we didn't really get to see them battle too much because Ganassi and McLaren weren't on the same page, even on the same level. But now they're together on like at McLaren. Like, we're finally going to get that Pato Felix battle that I've been dying to see this year coming up. I can't wait to see it.
I'd love to say that they're going to compete for wins, but we've seen McLaren, Aero McLaren and Aero Schmidt Peterson equipment these past several years. And we've seen good drivers in there.
It's McLaren. They're just using
it's McLaren. It is McLaren, but I'm saying throughout the past several years, we've seen good drivers in there get chewed up and spit out in those cars. I want to see them too do well. Same with
we've been watching it for 8-9 years. Tristan Vautier, perfect example. Tristan Vautier should still be an IndyCar, bottom line. But Schmidt destroyed him.
The only driver who really succeeded in those cars was Simon Pagenaud.
He's the only one. And which is insane to me, because he's terrible.
You're not terrible if you're an Indianapolis 500 champion.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. You said Simon Pagenaud.
Yes, the Pagenaud.
I was thinking Bourdais. My bad.
Oh no, Bourdais is Here's the thing. I before I became working in motorsports, obviously I was a race fan. I was not a Bourdais fan. I'll admit it. But
Ed Jones made him crash at Gateway just for passing him on the inside. And he went, just drove into the wall. No reason at all.
But here's the thing. The older I got, the more I recognized his talent. I still say he got screwed over by Toro Rosso, but 9 times out of 10, most drivers get screwed
every
over.
driver gets screwed over by an F1 team.
So, yeah, exactly.
I mean, it'll happen to Lewis too eventually.
And look at what Bourdais been able to do over Coyne. I think that I wouldn't be surprised to see that 14 car back in victory lane this year.
That is fair enough. Like what Bourdais did have, he did excel with because nobody else has even came close to getting what he's gotten out of it. But I will say that when Bourdais came over to Coyne, that's when Coyne started spending some coin. Get it? Coin.
Well, it didn't hurt either that he had at that time also brought on sponsorship people. He had Craig Hampson on the pit stand, so you had that dynamic between Bourdais and Hampson that brought Newman Haas their 4 championships, and he brought it over to Dale Coyne.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, if he wouldn't have crashed out qualifying for the pole, no doubt in my mind that he would have brought Coyne his first championship. No doubt.
You could.
That's bold. That's very bold, but it could have happened. Could very well happen. I mean,
you're going to get wins out of Coyne this year, whether it be Ed Jones or. And I want to be trying to defend how Ed Jones is the senior member of that team when Romain Grosjean.
I know.
It's weird. Yeah, see, that's the other thing. It's going to be weird. Romain, it's weird to see the Rookie of the Year crop, and it's something I mentioned on the show a couple weeks ago. You've got Romain Grosjean, Jimmy Johnson, and Scott McLaughlin.
Bottom line, the most talented grid to ever grace an IndyCar lineup.
Even Will is like kind of nervous now.
And
but Will's like, well,
here's the thing too. I think we have the most stacked lineup in IndyCar racing since 1993. Think about that.
Sir. 1992 even, I would go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I would. Yeah, I would even say.
You know what? Let's go to 93 because Roberto Guerrero was in 92, so that's not right. 93.
Yeah, 93 because you had Nigel Mansell come over, and that was even after Rick Mears stepped out of the cockpit too. So.
Yeah, and I'm even saying, and I'm even saying that after Little Al 192 Indy 500. I'm just saying, but I mean, we did watch Roberto Guerrero crash during a pace lap. Just saying.
That was a weird race to begin with.
It was awesome though. The ending was so worth it. Oh, it was so satisfying to watch Little Al beat Scott Goodyear in the most dog car that they had. That car that they raced in was such a dog. They said they raced it 3 times. It won twice.
Wow.
Yeah, it would only race good in bad weather. Ari Leyendijk won and went with it. Alice Jr. won with it, and the one other time they ran it, it didn't even finish. It was such a dog, and then they retired it. Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Which was an interesting story. Yeah. But I saw you had Paul Page on once. How
several times?
Did you?
Yeah, Paul is actually a mentor not only in my motorsports world but in my traffic reporting world.
He's an amazing man, I have to say, because the first time we were ever media, Missy and I, we were terrified. You're right, because we had no idea what the heck we were doing.
Yeah,
we're podcasters. We don't belong here. I still feel that way, but I feel a lot easier now about it. I'm like, hey, free stuff, woo!
Yeah.
But no, I'm just kidding. But the first person I ever got to talk to, sitting in the media center, just sitting there, was Paul Page.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was sitting right next to me. We had an hour conversation. The man is a gem.
He is, and when, obviously my racing stuff, that's fine. But when it came to traffic reporting, he really helped me out with the Indianapolis market. And I was able to understand and grasp it a lot more. Funny thing is, he also worked with me to try and get onto, when I was trying to get onto WBBM in Chicago. And, he'd give me tips and all that. And the day I found out I was going to be on WBBM for the first time is the day that Paul was announced for a second stint on IndyCar Radio, and I called him up so proud.
That's awesome.
And I go, first of all, I've got some good news for you, but I want to congratulate you on your on you getting back with the IndyCar Radio Network. And he goes, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, the story's out here. So we weren't supposed to know it till tomorrow. And he's like, what's your good news? And he was more excited the fact that I finally reached my goal to be on the #1 station in the Midwest than he was his own goal. So it speaks volumes to Paul. And I just feel so cherished to have him, to be able to call him up and talk to him. And, just doesn't matter if it's racing or life, we're able to talk. And I just appreciate that. And I cannot wait to read his new book.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, and I've had a Bob Varsha on once. That was one of the many dreams come true that the show has created for me, and that was a great interview. Even though he cursed me out for an hour that morning on Twitter, but he got his time zone mixed up.
Yeah.
He called me an unprofessional and a whole lot of expletives. Like for an hour on Twitter. I was like, Mr. Varsha here, and I screen capped the conversation. I'm like, look, you said this time, and he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. So it was an interesting start to our relationship, but you tend to remember those kinds of things, and I heard he was a little sick. I think he's doing better from what I hear.
Yeah, I've heard he's doing better, so it's great to hear. I need to get him on the show as well, and just shoot the breeze. I've off and on the past several years.
Formula E now, I think.
Yeah, he's doing Formula E with Dario Franchitti and Jack Nicholls, which, by the way, Jack Nicholls, he should be on Formula One. He is so underrated as an announcer, bar none.
Well, you would need one for Formula One to actually have a spot to do it.
Yeah,
they just simulcast one guy that.
Yeah.
I mean, F1 is. F1 as a product, like I love F1. I grew up loving F1, and the reason I hate it so much right now is because I love it so much. It like the product is just such S right now, and I mean, I don't. All I need to do is watch 10 minutes of practice one, and I know pretty much how the end of the race is going to turn out.
Yeah, but this season, Charlie, I think you can attest to this too. It seemed like the middle of the pack races were some of the best that we've had in recent years. And that may have been because
that's my point.
Tracks.
And that's my point. You're going to P12.
Yeah.
To find good racing. Who cares?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, and this is why I love listening to IndyCar radio, not just because I know a lot of the guys on the staff, and I've had the chance to be on to pit stuff, because watch TV, they show the top 5, but there's a lot of battles in the middle of the pack that you don't get to see on TV. You hear those on the radio, and that's what makes the racing better, in my opinion.
I agree with you, but we do need some front of the pack action as well.
I don't disagree, but
and that's all I'm saying. And plus, if F1 would just simplify the engineering of those masterpiece like works of art that they're creating over there in Europe, and I'm just saying if they would simplify it for the everyday fan to understand what goes into those cars. Like remember that viral pic of Rosberg going into turn 1 of Suzuka?
Yeah.
Where you remember talking about where it literally looks like he just did 4 barrel rolls and landed, but it's just preloaded to the left side. That's it. I mean, the engineering of those cars is insane to do 220 into turn 1 of Suzuka. I mean, that's totally insane to me. And IndyCar would never be able to do it. But that's why, and everybody's like, well, what's the biggest difference between F1 and IndyCar? I'm like, they both have open wheels. I mean, that's about it.
Ask Romain Grosjean. He was talking about it. He said like even he underestimated the physicality of the IndyCar, losing all everything from the F1 car.
Yeah, he lost his power steering. He lost his ERS. He lost his he lost his computer on his wheel. He lost. I mean, you know, he lost his pillow where he lays back.
But and that's the thing. A lot of drivers that come from Formula One into IndyCar, that's the biggest thing that they notice is they have a ton of mechanical grip with the car, and some do very well with it. Look at Rossi, and some not so well. I think that Grosjean is going to. I think he's going to adapt better with this car because look at how well he did in GP2. Yeah. That GP2 is more his style. So I think that he's going, he may, if he doesn't do well, I wouldn't write it off. I know there's going to be a lot of fans going, the European driver, he couldn't make it. And, I'm sorry, that's not right. Give him a season, give Jimmy Johnson a season. Yeah. They will succeed. I have no doubt in my mind.
Yeah. I mean,
Johnson for saying, I don't want to do ovals. I only want to do road courses. I mean, to go from
so
that, say, I don't even want to do it's like, okay.
Yeah, okay, I'm fine with that.
It's kind of out of unexpected for someone like him.
Yeah.
I thought he'd want to do everything.
Yeah.
Well, I
get it.
I think it's more his, his family, and I understand that.
And it's part of the reason why, I find it hard when I see drivers say, I don't want to do ovals, but I also can understand why you wouldn't want to do it. So
and if there's one thing Randy Bernard did right, there's a lot of things he did right when he was in charge of IndyCar. It was having the oval and the road course championship. If Jay Fry's smart, he brings that back at the earliest next season.
No, it's hard to have an oval road course or an oval championship when there's only 3 ovals.
Well, I don't disagree. If I said next season, then you bring out more ovals.
Yeah. That should be their number one.
Okay, Charles
is more ovals.
I just want to ask Charles, if there was the one next oval you would want IndyCar to bring back or bring in that they haven't been at yet, what would it be?
I think it would be difficult to choose between Milwaukee and New Hampshire.
Right. Yeah, I would side with you on New Hampshire there. Definitely.
I think it was unfortunate that they only gave it 1 year. When you bring an event to a new market, you have to give it time to grow. You can't just say 1 year, do it or lose it. You got to give it some time to build momentum.
It's kind of that way with Watkins Glen. They only gave it 2 years. I mean, they got screwed by rain the second year.
Yeah. Once it rains out of that track, IndyCar's like, we're out. Give it a year. I mean, Pocono, at least that I had to go drive back Monday to watch. Will win that one, but hey, it was a great win. But yeah, I mean, yeah. But Milwaukee definitely. I mean, it still exists, right? They haven't tore it down and made a park.
Yeah, it seems like it's going that way, though.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Well, the State Park Association really isn't doing any favors either, so.
No, but I mean, to be honest, we need we need a race either abroad or East Coast. That's what we need. I mean, we have plenty of races in the Midwest. I mean, do you need any more? You don't.
I don't want to drive.
You just got freaking Tennessee, Nashville, for crying out loud. I mean, and that's the coolest thing in the world. I'm sorry, but racing over a suspension bridge, that's awesome.
That will be cool.
Well, I've got to say this. Tony Kottman is one of the most foremost track designers around. I think his talent goes unappreciated as well. I'm excited to see what these cars can do. And when I heard that cars can go 5 wide going into turn 1, it's like, oh.
Yeah. And then I know, and then enter the bridge.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're gonna go 8 wide and then go over bridge.
Yeah. Basically.
I mean, and literally, we were looking at the layout. There's really no passing zones. There's 3 maybe good passing zones on that track, but it looks really fast. So I'm really excited.
It's gonna be a very competitive track, and I think that with all the different tire compounds that are going to be on the track at the time, because you've got TA2 and you've also got I think it's GT4 is going to be there as well. That's going to make things a little bit interesting for IndyCar.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of races on the East Coast and speaking of street circuits, I really enjoyed when they went to Baltimore.
I think you're the only one.
I thought it was. I mean,
No, right here. No,
I don't know.
I love Baltimore. Air conditioned paddock. Air conditioned paddock.
No,
Yeah.
Baltimore was an interesting layout, and I wish it would have succeeded, but that was more city politics than anything that kind of killed that track. I don't disagree. It was a great layout. They should have let it go a couple more years, but there's some things going on in City Hall that they just didn't like the race. So bye.
Any racetrack that has like luxury hotels and restaurants inside the circuit is a circuit that I will want to go to.
Yeah. And there was somebody, while we're looking at the Music City Grand Prix racetrack, there we go. They filmed a video of them driving around the track. It's on YouTube somewhere. I'll link it on Inside Open Wheel if I do find it, but it's going to be an interesting track, and it's one of the few street courses that I know of that we're going to have some elevation changes with it. So that's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, normally is pretty flat.
Yeah.
And that's
that
nice little touch.
So that little complex over there across the river, that's where the big elevation change is going to be, because you're going, that left, right, and then left, and then you go uphill to that left-hander in the rhythm section, and that takes you downhill. So that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That's going to set
out there to watch that section. It's going to not be so fun.
Yeah, like that. Those two last turns are going to set you up for whether you're going to get trained or you're going to make up some really good spots. So that's going to be some really great racing as long as you can get a good launch out of there.
Yeah,
I have a feeling they're going to grow chicane before turn 1.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to have to, because they're going to go from like 180 probably down to 70 miles an hour just to make that turn, that left-hander turn 1.
Looking at the map now, that's a really long straightaway.
It really is.
And into a very slow corner.
But twin turbos, they're going to be flying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not so much them. Like, I'm pretty sure, isn't Road to Indy there at all?
I think Indy Lights.
Give me a second.
Indy Lights might be there.
I'll pull up my handy dandy open wheel calendar.
I believe Indy Lights would be there.
No, they will not. No, it's just IndyCar. Yeah.
Well,
remember there was that TBD that was on there. We all thought it was going to be Nashville. It ended up being, I believe it ended up being New Jersey.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I'm sorry. That was Barber that it ended up being. That's right.
Yeah. So and they're not. No, they aren't they going? They are going to Barber, right? Didn't they?
Yes.
Season.
Yeah. Okay.
Everybody's going to Barber.
All right. Yeah, because there's a big question, like, are they going to be able to logistically change everything like that last minute? But they are. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Right on. And the news that came out the last week, Jared.
Other than the open test at Barber.
Yeah, which was I mean they tested at Barber.
Video footage of it, other than the video that Grosjean did, it wasn't visor. He said through his eyes, so I'm assuming something on his glasses had a camera, and he put up a 6-minute YouTube video of what he sees from behind the visor. Like, you can tell it's behind the visor too.
I have a pair of sunglasses that has a camera right here.
Yep, I think that's what he was probably wearing, was something like that. He did a number of laps.
There was a video on Instagram earlier today that I guess there was a red flag. Scott McLaughlin put it in the kitty litter just at pit in, and here comes Connor Daly around. Connor waves at Scott. Scott waves at Connor. It was pretty funny.
I'm just
had a story like that from my Pro Mazda days. We were
Connor.
It was a practice session at Road Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first lap. So we were all just out of the pits in a big line, and my teammate was right behind me, and it was early morning, cold tires, cold track. I get on the throttle out of turn 7, the really slow right-hander onto the straightaway, and I get on the power a bit too hard and I spin it. And you can see the video from both of our cameras at the exact same moment. Both of our hands come out of the cockpit and we wave to each other. It's not like I waved to him and he waved back. It's like at the same time, the hands go up.
That's pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
I figure that's pretty good teammate chemistry.
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, I think it's been about 2 hours here, so
yeah, we have been going for a little while.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, it's been pretty long. I want to thank you guys for coming on. We'll plan something with you guys. If not this coming week, then before the season starts, and once the season gets going, we'll get some good content together at the track.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Hopefully we can get out to the track ourselves. We've got some interesting things coming up as well. Like I said, this week, if for those just tuning in this week, it's going to be a very packed week for us. We'll be releasing later tonight. Josh Green of Turn 3 Motorsports joins us with Chris Marin, the recent winner of the Coca-Cola Bottling Company of Kokomo Indy Elite Series. Brian Berlansky from RacingWire.info talks about the SCCA Super Tour race at Hoosier Super Tour race, I should say, at Button Willow Raceway. We've got James Hinchcliffe. He is going to be joining us. I'm so excited about that. If there's one thing about Hinch, he is just a fantastic guy to sit down and talk to. I've known Hinch for a while, obviously being in the sport, but
he'll talk to anybody.
Oh yeah, that's great. We actually talked about Letterkenny last time we saw each other. So if you haven't watched Letterkenny, it's a hilarious show. Let's see here. We also have George Steinbrenner the fourth and Darren Jameson, who's the CEO of Capstone Turbine. They're on the show with us as well. So any major podcast service, find Inside Open Wheel, subscribe, like.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And congratulations on the 1 year anniversary coming up, man.
Really. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hopefully more people find both of us and really enjoy the content. It's more of a labor of love than it is anything else.
And Charles, where can they find you at?
I guess you could find me at youtube.com/antispeed. I put up all of my in-car videos with some commentary on it to give it some context and some insight.
I'll definitely subscribe to you. Definitely. That one video that you showed, that was crazy looking.
I put up another video in the chat of my race from 2019, and it was a moment that gave me flashbacks. I'm going around the same corner. You see a waving yellow flag at the same corner station, and there's a car there, a Club Ford, sitting perpendicular to the track, offline. So I was able to get around it. It wasn't a big deal, but it gave me a jump. Yeah. And then somebody else farther behind me actually crashed into him. I think they wrote the car off. It was pretty horrible.
Ooh.
Because I think the guy went to the hospital and spent the night there, but he was okay.
Yeah, I think you remember telling me about that one.
Yeah, it's a shame. That was such a beautiful car.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a late 60s Club Ford.
Oh.
And like really well maintained and taken care of.
Michael Andretti view.
Yeah, I actually put it there specifically to shout out to the early 90s on boards.
We'll just stay where we are.
Yeah, I wish that they would bring back the wing cameras. Those are such fantastic.
Yeah.
They have so many options to put things everywhere. I mean, in this day and age, every car should have it.
Yeah, I mean the cameras are so small you could put it anywhere, like even inside the bodywork.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean a GoPro, just throw it on there, please.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet footage.
Yeah,
it really is.
I hope one day to have a car like that, just something I can go take it.
Oh, there it is.
Take it wherever.
Oof.
Yeah, so what happened to him was he was, they always say when you're in that situation, do what the corner workers tell you. If they tell you to stay put, you stay put.
Yes.
And don't go until they do, or until they tell you to. And he was looking down the track, trying to look around a blind corner and trying to look for a hole that he couldn't see to go into. So he pulled out to get online, and somebody else came around and whacked him.
Oh, brother.
Yeah.
Great footage though, man. Really good stuff. Yeah, Eric Filigaris puts up some good stuff too. So
I remember when he first came up through the club scene, and he's a talented racer, and I wish that we'd see him, through the road to Indy more. So
just the money, man.
That's what it is.
People don't understand how expensive this stuff really is. I mean, they think race car drivers are rich, and I mean, if you're an F1, yes they are. But I mean, Road to Indy, no. I mean, every dime is going into what they're doing. So
awesome. Well, we want to thank you guys for coming on, and thanks everybody for tuning in live and listening on demand.
Yep. And then also, you can go to audible.com
and listen to both our shows, apparently.
Yeah, find everything.
It's awesome.
It's good.
So just go to your favorite podcast provider and all that good stuff. And Indy Sports, the IndySportsCarPodcast.com. And Jeremy?
Inside Open Wheel, find it on every major podcast and soon on InsideOpenWheel.com.
Right on. Charles, thank you for coming on, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
And Jared, on that note.
I know Frank doesn't know anything, and we miss Missy and love little Jackson.
Yep. Yeah, he's a